SonGoshuaku here live, ready for WrestleMania 40 review. So one of the things that first happened is Triple H comes out there, and you could just tell that right off the bat, Triple H, he was soaking it in. Triple H realizing that no longer, he probably won't say it, but no longer is he restrained to Vince McMahon. It was really good to see. Just if you saw Paul Heyman's introduction speech or Hall of Fame induction speech, then you pretty much know exactly all the praise that he's been given, and it shows in the product. But now getting to the matches. So first up, we had for the Women's WWE World Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. All right, so one of the things that was really cool is that Motionless in White sings Rhea Ripley's theme to the ring, and she was really in sync with the lead singer. I think his name is Chris Motionless. I love that song, Demon in Your Dreams. It's just awesome. The whole entrance and presentation of Rhea Ripley is good. And then, of course, Becky Lynch came out, and they did a really good presentation, too, with her as well, using a CGI version and different parts of her book. So I thought that was really awesome. That being said, the crowd didn't sound too loud. You think they would be super hyped already for the very first match. And apparently they kept making a note all night long saying how it's like 50 degrees out there in Philadelphia and that the winds were making it like 45 degrees. Shout out to NoDQ.com's very own Walter Cruz and Big G, as well as my friend the man 0001, who all were out there. So it was cool to hear insight from them in terms of how the weather was. I was hearing chilly and stuff like that. But yeah, that may have affected the crowd, but overall I thought this was still a very good match. Rhea Ripley, she got a lot of hard hits in on Becky, and Becky herself had a lot of nice counters. There's a bunch of nice counters all through this match, so that definitely really helped. There was moments where I'm like, oh, they had these in like certain submission holds, and I'm like, are they gonna get out? Are they gonna get out? So overall, it was really good. And at the end, the finish was pretty great. Rhea Ripley does the riptide to Becky Lynch onto the turnbuckle, and then picks her up again and does another riptide to the canvas, does her inserting dominance pin, where the Mami is always on top type of pin, to Becky Lynch, and retains the women's championship, just as I thought, as I predicted. Because when you think about Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, these are clearly the two women that WWE for the last few years, pretty much in the 2020s, have been focusing on, and it's going to look real good in that video package when they can show how Becky Lynch was defeated by both of them at WrestleMania. So I thought overall this was really good, and it makes sense. Becky Lynch and the Four Horsewomen, they've dominated the last decade of WWE, and it's cool to see them using their star power to help elevate the current new talent with Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. Certainly looking forward to when that match happens. As far as the match overall, I gotta be honest, I thought Becky Lynch's match 2 years ago with Bianca Belair was better than this, and I thought Rhea Ripley's match last year at WrestleMania with Charlotte Flair was better than this. But still, this was a good match nonetheless. So, not my favorite between the two. I've seen them, but overall, it was a very good, solid match. Not bad by any means. All right, take a little break for water since we're live now. All right, next up, we had the Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship 6-team ladder match, The Judgment Day, consisting of Finn Balor and Damian Priest defending their titles against DIY, consisting of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, versus Awesome Truth, consisting of The Miz and R-Truth, versus The New Day, consisting of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, versus the New Catch Republic, consisting of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Woo! That was a mouthful to say. Wow. And you know, just by announcing that, I went into this going like, oh man, this is going to be a real big cluster or it's going to be amazing, but it's going to be chaotic, right? Having 12 people in there with the ladder match. All right, I grew up on TLC matches with the Dudleys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian. So there was nothing in this match that I would say was as crazy as what some of the spots we saw in that match and those matches back in the day, and rightfully so, because man, you definitely want to be a lot more careful nowadays. But it did have a lot of the typical ladder spots, and that was really good. I want to mention too, there were some really nice tributes. DIY came out and tribute to D-Generation X, Johnny Gargano as Shawn Michaels and Tommaso Ciampa as Triple H. And what was also really cool about that is Xavier Woods, he revisited his Consequences Creed look that he had back in TNA. So this was clearly being done because they're in Philadelphia as tribute to the late great Carl Weathers, who played, of course, the iconic Apollo Creed in the Rocky franchise. Philadelphia, of course, being the place where the Rocky franchise mostly took place. And I'm a big Rocky fan, so this was really cool to see. R-Truth, God bless this man. He gave us a hot tag in a pinfall in a ladder match. You gotta love R-Truth. He is hilarious. We had DIY pay tribute all as well. Once again, DX doing the Sweet Chin music in a different version of the pedigree from Tommaso Ciampa. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller actually did eventually win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships halfway into the match. So that was a shocker because I had Awesome Truth and DIY both winning one of these titles. But yeah, I guess you want a tag team with the heels on there. So yeah, they clearly were going to separate the tag titles. Eventually we do get to Damian Priest, who does the South of Heaven choke slam to the Miz off the ladder. But R-Truth comes in and hits the AA, of course, John Cena being his childhood hero, even though he's older than John Cena, which, by the way, R-Truth, to be in his early 50s, looks fantastic and moves fantastic. So much props to him, man. That being said, he basically gets his revenge on Damian Priest, laying him out of the ring, climbs up, and the audience was going crazy, and R-Truth grabs the tag titles, and the audience explodes. You see, they do this great shot, panning out, and you see the ball, the beach ball, being blown, being shot around and everything. So I thought that was pretty fantastic. One of the things too about this match that was really good to see at the end was R-Truth getting emotional. We're so used to R-Truth playing that goofball character that it's cool to see that this means a lot to him as a performer, because he is the last WWE Attitude Era full-time star still around. I remember him all the way back in his K-Quick days. So that was cool to see, and I'm happy for The Miz as well, because if you've been following The Miz, his wife went through just some troublesome stuff, and having near tumors in her stomach, and she had to get a lot of her reproductive organs removed, and now thankfully she's tumor free, and that's so good to hear, because The Miz, man, to work through the year he's had dealing with that with his wife and his kids, can't even imagine. So it's good to see The Miz and R-Truth get this moment, and it's just fantastic. So I would say the ladder match, it was, if you grew up watching those old school ladder matches, it's not going to compare to those. But was it fun? Yes, it was exciting, and it gave us some really good feel good moments at the end, because R-Truth deserved it. He's, like I said, he's in his early 50s. You don't know how much more longer he's got left. It's good to see him get a big moment at WrestleMania. All right, let me go ahead and take a sip of water. All right, next we had Rey Mysterio. Yeah, we're live, pal, right? Got to get used to doing this live. All right, so yeah. All right, so next up was Rey Mysterio and Andrade with the LWO versus Dominik Mysterio and Santos Escobar with Legado del Fantasma. This match was nice, but to be honest, it kind of felt like a TV level match, not a WrestleMania level match. To me, it was a match that I felt like you would see on SmackDown. It's not to say the work was bad in here; it was good. You're always going to get good wrestling with all the guys and gals involved in this. That being said, I felt the best part of the match came from, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Joaquin Wilde. As there's a part where he gets basically slingshot from the outside of the middle rope, and just, man, I don't know how many feet he covered as he basically knocks down Legado del Fantasma. So that was pretty awesome, and it's like, yeah, the best spot of the match came from someone who wasn't even in the match. But yeah, this tag match, it ends with, and I'm not a football guy at all, so please forgive me, but I guess it's the Philadelphia Eagles legends, Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson. They dressed in Rey Mysterio masks and basically help Rey and Andrade win, as in the end, after their interference, Rey's able to get the 619 and splash and pin Santos Escobar, which, once again, like I said in my review and ranking mat videos of WrestleMania 39, had me shocked again. I thought Rey Mysterio was going to put over the young talent. So not only does he put over his son last year at WrestleMania 39, but he also doesn't put over Santos again this year. So I'm not sure what's up with that. Rey being at the tail end of his career, it is what it is. I still am a Rey Mysterio fan, but yeah, man, that's 2 times in a year in WrestleMania that I thought Rey was gonna go ahead and put over his son, and then Santos, but I guess it was not meant to be with the booking here. Overall, like I said, it was not a WrestleMania level match. I honestly thought Rey Mysterio versus Dominik Mysterio last year was a lot better than this match, but not bad by any means. But I would say, out of everything else on the show, I kind of thought this would be the lowest ranked match on the show. Not bad, but I would have to say, compared to everything else that happened on night one, this would be probably my lowest ranking match. So yeah, there's a spoiler, possibly, depending on how night 2 goes, if I do my eventual WrestleMania ranking videos for these. Alrighty. What does Stone Cold Steve also say on his podcast? Sip of water for the working man, right? All right, so next, a match. Well, here's the thing about the build up to this match. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. So the thing about this match here that I felt, it felt like they should have done more. I felt more should have been done when building this up. Like Michael Cole was constantly saying how this was the third time that real life brothers were going at it at WrestleMania, which further acknowledges Kane and Undertaker being kayfabe brothers, obviously, but everybody knows that. There was a great video package, and this is my thing. I put in my notes, despite the long gaps of no build up throughout the months since SummerSlam to WrestleMania 40, that it was still a great video package, and it really was. The thing is, I was there at SummerSlam 2023 live. I wasn't a big fan of it. I didn't like how Jimmy Uso, even though he was entertaining, I didn't really like how Jimmy Uso said one thing and then decided to just go back with the Bloodline, especially when you listen to the lyrics of his theme song and about him standing out. I thought they would have built Jimmy up more as a big main event star, getting close to that main event star like they did with Jey Uso. And then it's like, okay, he would cost them the tag titles, then they wouldn't do anything for months. And then they would fight in the Rumble, and then they wouldn't do anything for weeks. And then Jamie would come back, and then they wouldn't do anything for weeks. And it's like the last couple of weeks is finally when we really started going, and it would have been cool if they would have been able to bring in Rikishi. He was there at the Hall of Fame, but I'm not sure why he didn't get involved in the story, but that would be dependent upon him, of course, whether he wanted to or not. That's his right. But yeah, I think I would have loved to see more from the build up. That being said, in terms of the match, they introduced Lil Wayne as the greatest rapper of all time. I'm a casual rap fan, so feel free for any of you hardcore rap fans out there watching this, let me know if you feel that that's pretty accurate, that he's the greatest greatest rapper of all time. That was coming from Samantha Irving, which must have been a line, obviously WWE fed to her. So yeah, I will say a lot of my buddies who are big hardcore rap fans like him, but they disagree with that statement. That being said, he was the hype man for Jey Uso. And then what I did like is when Jimmy Uso comes out, Jey Uso came out firing right off the bat. Didn't even let Jimmy get in the ring and started going at it. What I notice is the subtlety of this match. There wasn't a lot of high impact moves, but the story was there. And there's like even just simple things of Jey Uso and Jimmy doing the punch exchange. When Jey, it's like the audience is going yeet. And then when it's Jimmy Uso, the audience is going no yeet. So that was cool to see back yeet, no yeet, yeet, no yeet. So that was awesome. The storytelling was fantastic. Obviously, the time that they've spent in the Bloodline no doubt has improved their storytelling in the ring, and it's been good, man. Like the trash talk and the talk, the emotion was all there, and I think that's what really helped carry this match. It was the story, the dialogue. There's parts where they went super kick. They had a super kick showdown. It's just, yeah, the storytelling was definitely on point in this match. And then there's this part where Jimmy Uso, he plays the old school heel, basically old school heel book 101, begging for forgiveness. I'm sorry, I apologize. And Jey Uso's like, all right, I accept your apology, I believe you. And he picks Jimmy up only to get hit with a super kick. And it's like, yeah, Jey Uso fell for the oldest trick in the book. But at the end of the day of this match, Jimmy does manage. I think Jimmy was going for a spear, but Jey catches him with a spear and ends up finishing off to win the match with a splash. This match really wasn't that long, and I do think there was a lack of intensity in it in terms of the build up and the magnitude and where I think they were trying to go. So I felt they didn't match that, but the storytelling definitely was excellent. And I'll be honest, I actually enjoyed this more than the tribal combat match at SummerSlam. So overall, I don't know if I would say it lived up to the full expectations I was hoping for, but what I did see, I really did enjoy. Jimmy and Jey were fantastic storytellings, and at the end of the day, when the storytelling is on point, and it's a little, it's a good case of less is more, and I think that's why I really enjoyed the match. Whatever it may have lacked in terms of the intensity that I thought the magnitude the storyline would bring, it more than made up for the storytelling itself. I wonder if this is just going to be one of many matches they'll have coming, and then this is where they're going to continue to build. So we'll see that. All right, so now we get to the 6-women tag team match. Jade Cargill, Jade Cargill, Naomi, and Bianca Belair versus Damage CTRL, consisting of Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai. All right, so right off the bat, the entrances were awesome. Damage CTRL came out to this very inspired Japanese, well, it is a pretty much an entrance of Japanese culture, and that was fantastic. And then after that, they had like this platform of Jade Cargill, Naomi, and Bianca Belair coming on, and each woman stepped off the platform to their entrance themes, and then Naomi would be, Bianca Belair, she would be the one that lead the way down. It was fantastic. The gear, the women looked awesome. I really love even on the SmackDown when they all came out as cowgirls. Like, this was fantastic. And then as far as the match itself goes, my expectations were going to be met in this match, which were, once again, like I said in my ranking review, and I think even my review last year, given Asuka's history at WrestleMania, bittersweet. As far as standout performances in this match, I thought all these ladies were shine. I had time to shine. Happy for all of them. The biggest standout to me though was Bianca Belair. You know, she's been one of my favorites the last few years here in the 2020s, and man, she was on fire. How quick she was moving, just making everything she did seem so effortless and yet so quick and explosive. With Bianca Belair, there's one point where she's fighting all three members of Damage CTRL that's in the ring, and I think she does something like she gets them all on the ground eventually, slams them all on the ground, and she does the ring where she runs into the ring and does the moonsault on all three of them. That was fantastic. Yeah, like I said, this was a fun, fast-paced match. One of the more fast-paced matches on the show, so it definitely was giving you everything you needed there. Jade Cargill, I thought, looked absolutely fantastic. They bumped Damage CTRL, bumped around for her like $1 million, and she looked smooth. And we even saw some things that I don't think we seen in even AEW. There's one point where she does like almost a driver or a Takamichinoku driver, so that was really cool. So I'm glad to see Jade Cargill continuing to improve. So yeah, and I really love the finish of this match. Bianca Belair, basically she dodges Asuka when she goes for the miss, and unfortunately Asuka ends up spraying Kairi's, and when she turned around, her whole face was blue, so she got Kairi good, and you see the way Asuka sold it in her face. Like, that was fantastic. And Bianca Belair, she basically makes short work of Asuka afterwards. I think she takes her not the KOD yet, she takes her ponytail, and man, that got a big pop out of me. She whacked I think it was Asuka right there in the shoulder, and I was like, oh man, that makes a huge noise with those microphones they got under the ring, man. Yeah, Asuka is probably gonna end up having that signature of Bianca Belair on her arm. But yeah, that takes Asuka out, and Jade Cargill, she ends up coming and she takes out Dakota Kai with her finisher. 1, 2, 3, it's over. And a lot of great history making here. Bianca Belair is now 4-0 at WrestleMania. And I will say, this is probably would be, not that it was bad, this would, out of the 4 WrestleMania matches she's had, this would probably be my lowest ranked one. That's not to be to the detriment or anything of this match, because this was more about showcasing Jade Cargill and everything. But yeah, it's not going to compare to her one-on-one matches she's had, but still very good match. And Bianca Belair once again still missed WrestleMania, so just not a bad match at all from Bianca at WrestleMania. And I'm glad Naomi got the spot, glad for Damage CTRL, and Jade Cargill, like I said, she looked like $1 million. Also, Bianca Belair now has the most undefeated wins in WrestleMania history, surpassing Sable now. And I think they even mentioned that maybe Naomi may have Naomi or Bianca, one of them, I think they mentioned, may have the most wins in WrestleMania. Probably Bianca now. So yeah, I guess Bianca not only has the most wins in WrestleMania history out of any woman, but also is the most undefeated woman in WrestleMania. So yeah, this is a fun little match here. And next, first, get some water. We had, for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, Gunther versus Sami Zayn. I really wanted Chad Gable to get this spot. I thought the story worked better. To me, it felt like Sami was kind of been there, done that with the Intercontinental Championship. I was ready, and I'm still ready to see Sami Zayn move on eventually now to that world title. I was thinking, okay, Gunther is probably going to eventually get the world championship this year, and that's when they're going to do Gunther versus Sami Zayn. But obviously, the original plan was Brock Lesnar and Brock Lesnar and Gunther, and as a result, Gunther and Brock falling through, they ended up putting Sami Zayn in that spot. And I thought that Sami was going to be put in this spot because the idea is, well, if we're going to have Brock Lesnar, or we're going to have Gunther lose anyway, if we're going to have Gunther win, because Brock Lesnar doesn't need the Intercontinental title, nor should he probably be going over one of your up-and-coming young talents like Gunther. You might as well go ahead and have Gunther win if that was the plan all along. But as far as that, you knew Sami Zayn and Gunther were going to bring it, and the storytelling was great. There was a lot of Rocky influence going into this storyline. Just even the camera production, the way they shot everything of Sami Zayn walking through the hallways, talking to his son, his wife, and then being met by Kevin Owens, and then the way his music plays and he goes right through the curtain, and just you see this great shot of him walking into a sea of 70,000 plus people at the stadium. This was fantastic, just fantastic cinematography, honestly, I thought. And then Gunther came out, and as far as this match, man, the audience was definitely hot for this match. They were going at it, lots of chops. You knew you're always going to get a very physical match when it comes to Sami Zayn, and especially Gunther. And there were some parts that had me, like Gunther hits the powerbomb on Sami Zayn, and I'm thinking, oh, he's going to kick out, and he does. But then he hits two power bombs later in the middle of the match, consecutively back to back, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's over. Sammy put in a good effort, and he kicks out. I'm like, oh, okay, they had me right there. And the audience was really getting into it. Later on, though, in the match, Gunther, he pretty much is constantly taunting Sammy's wife by constantly beating up her husband in front of her, and it's getting to the point where it's like, I think they're gonna have Sammy win, because Gunther's just getting way too overconfident here. He's had this man beat multiple times, and sure enough, by the time we get to the end of the match, Gunther once again is on top of the rope, but Sammy fires himself up, and Gunther paying too much attention, trying to ton his. As far as what I basically was saying was that at the end of the day, Sami Zayn and Gunther really had a good match, storytelling. Would have preferred Chad Gable, but it was a heck of a title reign from Gunther, and I'm looking forward to seeing Gunther and even Sami Zayn as the Intercontinental Champion, both going on to bigger things like the World Championship. So yeah, and I don't know if it got put in there, but I was just saying that Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, they announced a attendance of 72,543 fans, and that's awesome, because it just goes to show you that even though they got all this sponsorship money, Triple H still has the passion, and that's what's up. That being said, we can finally now move on to the main event. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns and The Rock. Whew, what a main event this was. So my gosh, man, I am just, wow, this main event, incredible. Let me find where I have my notes here. Okay, apologies for that. All right, so the entrances were top notch, especially The Rock, who came out electrifying as always, had flames of the Brahma Bull, so this was awesome. I thought it was pretty funny that Corey Graves and Pat McAfee, they had their ones up in the air, but not Michael Cole. And Samantha Irvin, she did a tremendous job introducing everyone. I knew this whole entrance was going to take about 30 minutes, and The Rock looks tremendous at 51 years of age. The shape that he is in, man, that just goes to show you right there. That's got to be age goes. Take good care of yourself, and look at that, man. So yeah, Rock definitely looked phenomenal physically in shape, but was he in shape in terms of ring shape? So in terms of this match, man, it really reminded me of those old school Monday WWE Attitude Era brawls. That was the time frame that I grew up as a wrestling fan, and man, they were fighting all over the place. Roman and Cody were up all the way to the ramp and stage. The Rock and Seth were all through the audience, so those people definitely got their money's worth. Oh man, there was so many just great psychology. That's the thing, is that everybody in this match made every single thing mean something. There's a part where Roman gets busted open, and his facial expressions and how he sells it, I thought was just fantastic, and stuff, and he uses it to get angry. I thought The Rock, man, probably did one of his best looking sharpshooters ever in this match and stuff like that. I remember there was one time where Bret the Hitman Hart was like, he loves The Rock, but he would love to show The Rock how to do the sharpshooter. But it must have really paid off there. Man, there was parts where The Rock was taunting Mama Rose and took his belt out, basically keeping his promise. That was cool because you had Mama Rose and Cody Rhodes' father-in-law, who had and congrats on him beating who had just beat I think he beat leukemia, and he made it here to WrestleMania to see his son-in-law. So I thought that was fantastic. There's parts where Cody Rhodes, he gets hit in the spine. He goes for The Rock hits Cody Rhodes with the spine buster, goes for the people's elbow, but Cody reverses it with a Cody cutter off the middle rope, which I was like, yeah, that's pretty much just him exposing the ridiculousness of the people's elbow, because you gave him all that time to recover. But hey, if you grew up like me in the Attitude Era, we love The Rock's people's elbow, and yes, even if it's psychology is ridiculous, it's fantastic. The Rock's so full of charisma and everything he does, and I noticed that Rock was still selling like $1 million. The Rock was still doing his old punching, shaking his legs and stuff, and just fantastic. So he hadn't missed a step in terms of that. At one point, Roman even tries to spear Cody, but Cody moves out of the way, and Roman accidentally hits The Rock, and the crowd became unglued. I was like, oh, because everyone knew what this meant. It meant, oh, is there going to be some dissension now between Rock and Roman? That was fantastic. Cody and Seth, then they hit stereo, they come back in and hit stereo pedigrees, and they made it look like this was going to be where they beat them both, but they kick out. Rock and Roman did, and the match just had so much great stuff, even though it built up slow and then got more fast paced in the end. Like I said, these guys were masters at storytelling. They made everything they mean matter something. Every move, every kick, every punch, everything had purpose. Even The Rock was cheating, and the reason why he cheated is because he told the referee, and he was bullying the referee all through the match. He said, hey, you count out or you disqualify me, you're fired. And it's like, wow, once again, making sure everything makes sense. But I will admit, it would probably be like, well, Rock, if he wanted to, he could have probably just gone ahead and make this a tornado rules and had a whole bloodline come in there and said to the referee, oh, you're fired, right? But it makes sense, I guess. Rock still wanted to be somewhat fair as competitive, right? And then from one point, The Rock, he tries to do the Rock bottom to Cody Rhodes on the Spanish announce table, but Seth stops it, causing Cody to give Rock the Rock bottom from the Spanish announce table onto the American announce table. So that was like one of the biggest bumps The Rock took in the match. Putting their working boots on, and I was saying when they got on the announce table, I'm like, yeah, these announce tables don't break as easy as the ones back in The Rock's prime and stuff like that. And then right after that, Roman gives Seth Rollins the spear through the guardrail. And that's a spot that I feel like we see a lot of nowadays. So it's not as special, but the way they timed it here just really added to it. And it was like chaos, and everybody was down. If prime Jim Ross was on commentary, he'd be like, by God, there's bodies everywhere and stuff like that. So man, and then in the end, with Seth fully out of commission, Roman Reigns ends up hitting the spear on Cody Rhodes in the ring, and Roman, he tags in The Rock, and The Rock then gets in position for the Rock bottom, and it's been so good to see The Rock do that pose again, and he hits it this time on Cody, and then nails the people's elbow for the 1, 2, 3. That was just some of the notes I took down. There was a lot more into this match. This was fantastic. It was fun. But yeah, The Rock and Roman Reigns walk out victorious, and they almost did the same thing with as they're walking up the aisle with the newly Hall of Fame Paul Heyman. Great speech, by the way. Highly recommend you check it out if you haven't seen it. As they're walking up the aisle holding their respective titles, Roman, obviously the Universal WWE Championship, and The Rock holding the People's Championship that was gifted to him during Muhammad Ali's introduction. It is here that they almost do shot for shot Cody Rhodes, basically looking just completely depressed, realizing realizing that crap, now he has to wrestle under the Bloodline Rules. And this is exactly where I thought they were going, because now the deck is being stacked against Cody. And I figured it had to be this for the suspense, right? Because now it's going to be like the Avengers Endgame. I'm expecting tomorrow night, or later tonight now, it's because like what, 2:41 a.m. Central Time here. I'm expecting that this is going to be mayhem. This is going to be one of the most chaotic main events we've ever seen in WWE history. And as someone who loved that 1998 Over the Edge main event with Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Dude Love, or The Rock versus Triple H at Backlash 2000, those are two of the most overbooked main event matches, and I love it because that had so much great storytelling and star power behind it. And I'm expecting us to see this, probably a John Cena cameo. I'm hoping for my all-time favorite, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the glass to shatter, and comes out to give The Rock one more stunner. Seeing my all-time two favorites get physical in the ring just one more time, man, that's gonna blow. Well, there's no roof to be blown off, but man, that's gonna make that whole stadium go boom for sure. So I'm expecting chaotic, but this had to be, because it will make Cody Rhodes' eventual win that much sweeter, because they want us all the way up to the last minute to see that it looks like all hope is lost for Cody Rhodes. And that's exactly what this main event delivered on. It was fantastic. It had me invested the whole time. Like I said, it's between this and the last two matches, man. It just fantastic, just awesome. WrestleMania 40 overall had a lot of good to great matches, but nothing bad. Which, if you've been a long time listener or follower of mine here on my YouTube channel, is something I always said about NXT back in the day during its golden era, which was ran by Triple H back then and now. So yeah, that was definitely a pattern that I'm starting to see here, and I'm looking forward to night 2, and we'll see if this goes down as one of the all-time greatest WrestleManias. So I'm really looking forward to where we end up from there. But overall, I had fun. This was a great show, and I'm looking forward to night 2. And that being said, I'll be back for WrestleMania 40 night 2. In the meantime, feel free to let me know what you thought of night 1 in the comments below, as well as check out my other WWE content here on the screen. Also, remember to like, subscribe, and follow by hitting the notification bell so that you are notified when my new content is released. Thanks for watching, and take care.